We're now joined by the winner of the Federated Auto Parts 400, Kyle Busch, driver of the number 18 M&M's Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions, and we'll start to the left with Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, Kicking the Tires.net and PRN. When you were in here the last time, you said you wanted a 60-point lead and a win going into the Roval. You got the win, so how do you feel now?
Feels pretty good. I think I said one or the other, right? Yeah, okay. Obviously, just you know, it's really good to have the win. You know, to be able to go into next week. I think anytime you can automatically punch your ticket to the next round, that just makes it even better. You know, being able to come here in Richmond in the fall. Whoever said I didn't win here in the fall race, I got you. We won here now, so you know, finally. Again, I didn't know what was eluding us from being able to win here in the fall, but we were able to get it done tonight. So, you know, it was a handful out there, that's for sure. Car wasn't great early, but once we got some adjustments to it, it really woke up, and car kind of came to us, continuation all night long of the sun going down and just getting better and better, so that was good.
We'll go over to Bob and then to Jeff.
Bob Huckers, ESPN. I had two. The first, when you were in here last, you were also asked kind of whether the big three, it kind of lost maybe a little bit of ground to everybody. You all finished 1, 2, 3 today. Is that a sign?
That's pretty good for Truex to get back to where he got to, considering he had that penalty late. So he did finish third, right? Is that what you're saying? You know, I knew Harvick was kind of closing in on us there at the end. You know, I ran really hard trying to pass Brad, racing with Brad, and being able to finally get by him. And you could see how hard we ran by how fast he dropped, you know. So, you know, our car was really, really good in the long run. I think Harvick maybe, well, the run before we kind of drove away from everybody. So I just I think it was a factor of me running real hard, pushing real hard, that Harvick was able to close in on us there at the end. My stuff was really, really used up. You know, I lost tons of grip the last 10 laps of the race, so I was just trying to hang on.
And when you were challenging Brad, they kept telling you on the radio to run your race, run your pace. Is that possible in that situation?
Yes, kind of. There were a couple of times where I was to his inside, and whether I was being held a little tight or I was sliding up, whatever, you know, we were getting kind of close. And in those moments, you know, you kind of tense up, and car slides, and anytime the car slides, you know, you're putting heat in the tires and you're putting heat into everything. So you try to take a step back and kind of regroup, let everything cool down again, and go re-attack. And I was able to do that about twice. Second time, it finally paid off when he was starting to drop. So, you know, I spent a lot of time racing hard with him, and, you know, good to be able to do that cleanly on my part. And then when you spend 15, 20 laps trying to pass a guy, and you can pass him and you get run into right as soon as you pass him, it's kind of like, come on, man, like, really? But, oh, well.
We'll go here in the front to Jeff, and then right here in the middle.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. I had two questions also. I guess the first was going to be your hand out the window at him. That I assume is what you're referring to.
Yeah, that was just, come on, man.
Yeah, okay. I was looking for an interpretation there. Second of all, after
Come
Vegas,
on, man.
after Vegas, you're on pit road and you're like, oh man, something's way off. You know, we're missing stuff. So it seemed like, you know, you'd said over the last month, like you guys didn't really have it. Does what happened here tonight fix that, or is that an issue like of a 1.5 mile track that's separate?
Right. Yeah, that's separate. You know, we're just kind of missing a little something at the 1.5 mile places. So, you know, Richmond, we were good here in the spring, and we're good here again tonight. So, whatever it is that makes us have that ability and gives us that chance to be able to go race for a win like that is pretty good. Feels pretty good. But tonight's way different than a 1.5 mile. So, I don't know if it's a good thing or an indifferent thing. We go to a Roval next week and not a 1.5 mile. So we'll see what happens with that. But as far as the next round or even the round after that, you know, there's some 1.5 miles that are coming up that we know we need to get better for.
With as much pressure as there is in the playoff and as much emotion as you put into everything, how much does winning tonight make the week ahead easier for you?
It certainly takes a bunch of relief. It would have if we would have not won the race, but been ahead by 60 whatever points of the guys that were on the cutoff. we would have been fine as well too. We could have gone into the Roval and raced our way however we wanted to race. So either way you looked at it, if you were a guy who was in the bottom, if we would have had trouble last week more than we did, and if we would have had trouble again tonight and been kind of at the cutoff line, then obviously it would make for a very, very stressful week and a stressful Roval. But right now it feels pretty good, so we can go in there with no worries and try to go and attack that place and see what we can get out of there.
Will you be able to drive it differently because you don't need to win?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you want to win. I think you can drive it differently because you can go force the issue sometimes and try to get a win, or get a good finish, versus just kind of having to be stressed about it the whole day and on your toes about it the whole day and worrisome.
All right, we'll go over here to the right and then in the back.
Adam Cheek, VCU's Commonwealth Times. Kyle, what does it mean to get your 50th win, milestone win at Richmond, and finally win in the fall and have it be kind of a milestone win in your career?
Yeah, I mean, there's been lots of milestones. The 50th is kind of a number at this point, but obviously it's a great number to have, and it's a great achievement. There's a lot of guys that we've been tying recently, like Tony Stewart and tonight Ned Jarrett, I think, and Fred Lorenzen, if I'm not mistaken. But guys like that have made the sport, obviously, and have been in the Hall of Fame and have done great things. So hopefully that I can continue to evolve and continue to do some cool things and being able to win. But winning at Richmond is winning anywhere is cool, because you know that first of all, you get to celebrate with your team, you get to take home a cool trophy, and then this one in the fall time is more special because it's late in the season. I was I guess known for not winning later in the season years ago, and so it feels good to be able to get some wins later in the years now. And also to in the playoffs, it moves you to the next round automatically, so that's kind of a big deal. And just kind of what those wins are accredited for nowadays.
Go to the back and then up in the press box. We have a few questions as well.
Don Jeffrey, CSPN Media. You have 92 wins in Xfinity, 51 in trucks, and 50 in the Cup Series. That's 193 total. Have you ever thought about or, made 200 wins in all three major series a goal? And if you did hit that mark, what would it mean to you?
Yeah, I think actually somebody asked me about that probably in Richmond. When was that? Like 5 years ago, 6 years ago? Somebody brought it up because we were, I don't know, closing in on like 140 or something like that. But yeah, obviously it's a goal of mine. It's just a number. There's no correlation or comparison to the Richard Petty 200 wins. It's completely different eras. It's just a number. So, when I was growing up, I was taught to have goals and to go strive and to reach those goals, achieve those goals, and that's the number that I set out there. And so it's obviously achievable. Maybe I didn't set it high enough, but people would probably look at me with two eyes crossed if I said 250 or 300, but that's obviously maybe achievable. I don't know if I can get through the 200s that fast, but certainly looking forward to that moment and what that means to me in my career. It's going to be really, really cool to get there, and I'm looking forward to it.
We'll go ahead and take those questions in the press box.
Yeah, ChrisKnightCatchmans.com. Kyle, after the race, Harvick said he was terrified of going to the Roval next week, even though he's in a good points position. Is that a fair consensus among the drivers? I mean, even though that you're locked into the next round, how do you feel about the Roval in particular?
I think everybody's just nervous because it's just it's very slick, and I don't know why it's so slick. Like when we go to Sonoma doesn't feel this bad. When you go to the Roval, though, you're just on edge the entire time. It feels like ice. You're never comfortable. And the problem with it is too, like if you get off course, like you're into a tire barrier, you're into a wall, like you're hitting someone or something right away. There's no runoff. Like at Sonoma, you can go off course and turn one, you can run off through the dirt, whatever. There is none of that at Charlotte. So that's why I think everybody's so worrisome about it, is just the tightness of the course. But it's the same for all of us. I think a lot of guys will have different mentalities going in this week and what they expect and what they are looking to achieve. So we'll go in there with a good mindset and a good attitude about it, and hopefully it'll come out well for us.
All right, we've got another question down here to the right.
Mike Massey from Stretch.com. I got another cool stat for you, Kyle. You tied, you tied Rusty Wallace for the most wins here at the 3/4 of a mile layout.
Okay.
You know, it was a half mile before that. But
Yeah, Richard Petty's got those, right?
yeah, he's got the.
How many of those were on dirt?
I'm not sure. I need to
Okay.
look that up.
Yeah,
but he's
you
got
do.
13 total. So how's that feel to tie Rusty Wallace? You know, one of the best short track drivers ever.
Yeah.
Make your mark on this track.
Yeah, thanks. That's pretty cool. I remember watching Rusty for years, and him and Jeff Gordon kind of going at it here. When was that? 95, 98, maybe something like that. So it was pretty fun to see those days and to know just how good Jeff was here, how good Rusty was here. I don't think Mark won here very much, but Mark I always thought was a really good short track racer and good here too. So just really neat to to keep kind of achieving goals and achieving things, milestones, if you will, that other drivers have done, and it just is an honor for me because I would like to go down once upon a time as as one of the best in the sport, and so I think the numbers aren't gonna lie about that.
We're going to go over here to Dustin on your left.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. 3 cautions tonight. Were you surprised by that? And did that help you?
It didn't help my back, but yeah, it helped everything else about the night. We were good on the long runs for about 60 or 70 laps. After that, we kind of dropped off. We weren't very good after 70. So when it was between 70 and 100 that we had to go, that was kind of stressful. But overall, I think, I like long runs here. The restarts were kind of crazy, kind of hectic. If you have a lot of late race restarts, they get even crazier. Fortunately, by that point of the race, we were out front, so we can kind of set the tone and set how hard we wanted to run based off what our competition was doing up front, like Brad at the end. But when I was back 11th or 9th or something like that, I mean, I ran with the 88 and the 42 and the 3 and somebody else, and you would have thought we were all racing to save our lives. I mean, it was nuts, and so it was pretty crazy how hard those guys were running, and that was the worst long run we had because I burned my stuff up racing against those guys early in the run, and that's kind of what you got to be mindful about when you're here at Richmond.
We'll come back over here. Oh, sorry, Dustin, go ahead.
The intent to make sure the car was set up for a long run here based off what's happened, and this is cautions here, as opposed to like some other places where maybe you look more to short run or strong restart type of thing.
Yeah, Richmond, you always have to set up for long runs. Anywhere you go, you always kind of want to be set up for long runs, but you want to have speed in the short run as well too. And yesterday in first practice, we had good short run speed and good long run speed in first practice, and then the second practice, we didn't have very good short run speed, but then we kind of hung on a little bit better than some other guys. So we kind of knew then that we weren't going to worry too much about the short run until the end of the race. You know, you're going to have to start adjusting on your car and adjusting on your air pressures to try to get your car faster for the end to be able to maintain lap times of the guys that were fast on the short run, like the 2.
We'll go back over here to the middle, and we'll finish up with Jeff and Kelly.
Jonathan Panda here with WVCW Sports. Kyle, earlier on you said you were losing tons of grip during the race. I want to know, what were those moments like?
It was tough. It just, when you're on, how do you explain this? When you're on new tires, you feel like you've got the absolute best cleats out there if you're playing football or soccer or whatever, right? Like they're dug in, they feel good, you can juke, you can move anywhere you want to move. And then as the tires get older and they wear, you might as well put flip-flops on. It's just terrible. So you're sliding all over the place and trying to figure out what you're going to do, and it's like flip-flops on a baseball diamond, like dirt. So that's kind of what the best interpretation I can come up with anyways. It's late. But, that it's just you're sliding, so you're trying to control that slide all the time. If you slide too much, you're going to heat up those tires even more. You're going to wear the rubber off the tire even more. You're going to build the air pressure, and it's going to become more of like a bowling ball on a lane. It's just not going to grip. It's just going to slide the entire time. So that's kind of the things that you always work on here at Richmond.
We'll go to Jeff and finish up with Kelly.
I totally missed this about your back. I mean, you said you wanted 3 to leave afterwards, and you mentioned you're back now. Did you hurt it or something, or are you just getting old, or what?
Yeah, just the getting old. Yes, the long runs here, man. It's just you're so on edge around this racetrack that you never relax. Like you're always tensed up, and you're always like scrunched and holding onto the wheel, and your legs are holding onto the steering column and everything else. So you just don't ever have a moment to kind of chill, except under the caution. So with the long runs tonight. It just puts a lot of pressure on your back, especially pushing on the brake pedal, like you push on your left leg and it comes from your seat, like you're pushing yourself back into the seat. And so it's just kind of a pressure point that made my back sore.
Kelly?
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. So Kyle, you don't have to worry about the Roval with the playoffs, but Adam Stevens mentioned it. Now you go there, and he's worried about making sure you guys can win to keep that streak alive of having won everywhere. And you mentioned in May that they threw that at you now in terms of active track. So
I've won there.
So do you go there now relaxed, or are you going to get there next weekend and be, kind of up on the wheel to get that done?
If I'm ever up on the wheel and balls to the wall, I'm going to end up crashed. So especially at the Roval, knowing how treacherous that place is, I'm going to get myself in trouble. So I'm going to be all juked up, ready to go. And then when I get there, I'm going to take a melatonin and just drive Miss Daisy. So I don't know. It's Charlotte Motor Speedway last I checked. So I have victories from Charlotte Motor Speedway, but it would certainly be nice to win at the Roval. And in our position, I feel like we got our best chance to be able to go out there and attack that race and try to get a win. I don't know, probably.
And with that, we'll wrap it up. Thank you, Kyle. Congratulations.